Hey everybody, it's Dave, Blue Jacket 66 here for a quick video. I know it's going to be a quick video because I've already done this video, but I forgot to push record, which is really annoying. Today, the whole purpose of this video is to talk about a new acquisition of mine, a beautiful pre-war card of a classic image of a really neat set that I obtained from Love of the Game auctions. I'm not an expert in this set, but have some experience of this with this set, hence my teaser little heading, the $100,000 attic find, which is tongue-in-cheek but somewhat true in retrospect. The set is the 1906 Fan Craze game set. So I'm going to talk a little bit about that set and then a little bit about some similar sets that are from the early 20th century that have very, very similar cards. So the whole purpose of this, I'm going to show you my Fan Craze card, talk a little bit about my experience with this Fan Craze set, and then talk about some similar sets quickly. So the Fan Craze game was a card game by a Cincinnati company that, according to PSA, these games were distributed by Sears for 48 cents per game. I actually got on YouTube and found a 1906 Sears catalog, and where the guy was shuffling through each page, and I did not see any Fan Craze game in his catalog. But then again, as I recall with that catalog, I didn't see any games or children's games or anything like that, so it may have been a different type catalog. But these were sets of cards within this box of either American League, which had blue backs on the cards, or American League, which had the National League, which had the red backs on it. Now, there were 51 cards in the American League set, and they include players such as Cy Young, Eddie Plank, Connie Mack, Lajoie, I think Chief Bender, Sam Crawford, whereas the set of cards that was the National League players that had the red backs to them, there were 54 cards, and they include Honus Wagner and John McGraw, Hugh Duffy, Mordecai Brown, quite a few players. These are all 3.5 by 2.5 cards that essentially look like today's playing cards, and that's why they're found in somewhat good condition, despite them not being very common, is they were of similar stock as a plain day card or a gaming card with rounded corners. So how is it that I had a $100,000 attic find? Well, okay, a little bit clickbaitish, but much like any other vintage card that you or set or memorabilia perhaps that you'd bought back when I did this in the early 70s, prices and the value have skyrocketed. So my dad and I used to, back in the mid-70s when we first started, put in ads in newspapers. When I say my dad and I used to, this is all my dad and I would tag along. That's the way we did things, through stamp collecting and coin collecting, etc. So, and this is vague recollections for me. I mean, I remember a lot of things that happened back then and have a lot of stories, but this story is pretty vague, although I definitely remember getting this game at this woman's house. We go to her house somewhere, I think, north Kansas City, north of the Missouri River. We didn't really go over there very often or up there. And went to this woman's house, and as I recall, there was a few cards, and she brought out this game. Didn't know anything about it. It was mint, sealed, and paid 15, 20 bucks for it and brought it home. And it was the 1906 Fan Craze game, it was the American League, because it had blue backs, and it was a blue box, unlike the header of my video that I think the box is red, which would be the National League. But anyway, and in this was these 51 gem mint cards of all these players, and we really had zero idea what this was. Never seen anything like it. Never heard of Fan Craze. Certainly, my dad knew the players, but didn't really have much significance. You have to realize back then there was no internet. There was communicating with your buddies and perhaps in handwritten letters and communications through all of our periodicals back then were essentially typed out on a typewriter by some good guy on a 15-page pamphlet that you'd get once a month. So we had no idea what these were, and I'm not sure that we ever really knew what they were. Jefferson Burdick had cataloged these, but I'm not so sure that I recall back in the 70s we had any access to Burdick's card catalog. I don't think. Yes, into the mid to later 80s, but not at that time. So I think we went a long period of time not knowing what it was, and I honestly lost track of the set. But I do know that my dad sold it in the early 80s, maybe mid 80s, for I believe $800. And when you pay $15 for something like that, and you're a school teacher, even though you're a huge collector, that's a big win. That was not his goal. His goal was collecting, but you know, like all of us, you gotta pay the bills, and you got to have some sort of income to further your hobby interest, and maybe that wasn't at the top of his list. But today, I think that gem mint set of cards would be maybe $100,000. These cards are not commonly seen, and I think they're really gained popularity over the past few years. So they're made by a Cincinnati company, probably distributed by Sears according to PSA. You want to find some good information on this? Two sources online. Sports Collectors Daily did an article on this set, I think about 10 years ago. And very recently, I was on the internet and I found one from January from All Vintage Cards. Did an excellent write-up on it. There's some fantastic information there. So really the purpose of me talking about it and showing you this card is so maybe you will have some interest in it. So we're going to look at this card, then we're going to talk about a couple sets that are similar to this. But here's the card that I got. And here's what's exciting to me. I have not had a Fan Craze card since we had that complete set. And sometimes the mentality of things is not right. That you think, well, I've owned something before. Why would I pay so much more now when I had the complete set? Why am I paying X amount of dollars? I've had it, been there, done that. But I got over that, and I love the images and I love the set, so I had to own one. I'd like to own a Wagner at some time, but in love of the game, I got the Plank. This be American League card with the blue backs. This is in a 6. And they hold up pretty well. They've got the rounded corners, kind of playing card type stock. And we'll take a little closer look at that here in a second. But here's the Eddie Plank. And I'm very proud to have that. I'd like to have the Wagner. Certainly, I would already own one of these if they did a Mathewson, but this is 1906, so it's kind of pre-Mathewson. So it's not there. However, Mathewson is on some other similar type cards that came out. Prior to this set in 1906 was the 1904 Allegheny Card Company set. Now these are extraordinarily rare. They're so rare that I think there's only been one game of this ever found, and I think it was found in the 80s. You know how all these finds are in the 70s or 80s, and I can't substantiate the story, but evidently there's just one set, so there's only one card of each player. They're astronomically expensive. I'll show you a picture here of the Allegheny Card Company. I believe the picture that I pulled up was the Christy Mathewson. And just fantastic. After that, another card game. All these are about the light. You know, at the top they have stolen base, home run, base hit, strikeout, etc. And at the bottom they have the player's name underneath the image. But the national game, look at these cards. Beautiful. Ty Cobb, Christy Mathewson, Joe Jackson, Cy Young, Wagner, Walter Johnson, they're all there. And these are relatively affordable, especially in lower grade. I would describe them as very affordable. Now, not the Joe Jackson which I would love to have one of those. You see them every once in a while. Similarly, the 1913 Tom Barker game, essentially the same lineup as the national game. Similar type thing, you know, balls, you know, strikeout, walk, double play, etc. Beautiful cards as well. I think the image I put up is the Joe Jackson, I think is the image I got. Wonderful set. 1936, the SNS game came out. This one is very, very affordable. I can't remember how many in the set, I'll be honest with you. I think 30 something. I used to own the whole set. There's not many stars there, and it doesn't. The images aren't as big and as these other card games, and I don't think it's very popular and all that desirable compared to the others. A little bit later on, in similar card style, the 1968 Topps game was produced by Topps as an insert, and those are the games that are in card game type format. I know in 51, you know, Topps did the black and white, or the blue and red back game, but those didn't look like these. So all these that I've listed are card type stock, look like playing cards that have wonderful images on it. The only, and I'm not talking about them in detail, but look them up online. Something new, and they're really cool cards, and becoming increasingly desirable, as is all vintage. But some people don't consider them like baseball cards because they're more gaming cards. But wow, I think they're really cool. So we'll turn this around and look at this beauty, the Eddie Plank fan craze. You notice that image? I think you'll recognize that as the same image from the T206 set, as is all the players. So if you get the Wagner on the National League, it's that Carl Horner image. All the T206, those Carl Horner images are seen in this fan craze set as well, the same images. And so if you get the Wagner and the fan craze, you will get the T206 Wagner image. I'd love to have that card, and they're fantastic. So let's stop it here. We'll turn around and look at it, and we'll call it a day. Comment below if you can think of any other gaming cards that have this type format, that, you know, that 3.5 by 2.5 that look like a card game. Some of them may have slipped my mind. I'd be anxious to be reminded of it. Let's go look at this. Here it is. The 1906. Now I know SGC put 1904. PSA does the same thing, but it's well documented they were made in 1904. Eddie Plank fan craze card. Beautiful image. Hey, thanks for watching.